Hi, thanks for joining me. My name is Kate McMahon, and today I've got the good fortune to speak with Molly Purdue and Melanie Braverman from the Alzheimer's Family Support Center of Cape Cod. Molly is the executive director and co-founder, along with Melanie, who is the cultural director. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here. You know, it's funny when we were coming up with the idea of the Alzheimer's Family Support Center, people said you have to shorten the name. And every time someone introduces us, you can tell the name itself might be a little long, but what was so important about that name that makes us so different than every other Alzheimer's organization is the fact that we put family in it.
Right.
And
Family first.
yeah, and most people they don't feel that Alzheimer's is going to affect every single person, grandchildren, multiple generations, neighbors. It's something that is really a community wide issue that we have to provide support. So
Yeah.
thank you for bringing us on today.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Now that we're into week 9, I think, of our COVID-19 pandemic, I really wanted to check in with you guys today. And if you can share with the audience a bit how this has changed how you all interact with the families and the actual clients.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did early on is that we realized that we were not going to be able to do some of the same things that we've always done. In other words, we have a giant community presence. When we first got started, we started with a support group, a system of support groups that go from Provincetown to Falmouth. And the week before everything shut down, we reached out to all of our families and we said, okay, we're not going to be able to do this anymore, So we actually stopped going out into the community Friday before Governor Baker determined that you had to stop going out into the communities. And the other thing that we did to protect our employees is we have a lot of people that are over the age of 60, and we wanted them to figure out how to kind of set up camp at home. Mm-hmm. So, we had social workers taking their files home, having their computers, and figuring out how to set up support so that our families had a place and had their social workers available. Right. And so, I think we got to jump on it in that way. And I feel really fortunate that we didn't have, a group of people that unfortunately were introduced to COVID because of the fact that we let our groups go too long. So I think by working remotely, by getting people out of the office, we've kept everyone safe. And this is why it's taken us a little bit of time to get all of our support groups set up online. But we were, so thrilled to be able to set up over 14 support groups the last 2 weeks so that people had support groups to go to. We had to get everyone up to speed with Zoom. As here we are today on Zoom, and I think it is the way so many people are starting to communicate. So we've been able to do that. We've done telephone support. We've reached out to a lot of people via telephone. We also opened the office, and the office isn't open to people coming in. The office actually is closed, but because the office is on our property, we were able to keep the office open to telephone support. So we've been able to help families that were dealing with all sorts of crises early on, get information to them that they may not have otherwise been able to glean because, this is a novel virus. So what I'm seeing is that, policymakers are getting up to speed a little slower than families are dealing with the disease, because it's all new. Mm-hmm. So, early on, some of the work that we did, we were able to get some people that we thought might be symptomatic. We get them to their doctor early, make sure that you get medical assistance early. That was a big message early on. Trying to get people masks, trying to get people, even if they were something that we had the quilters, let's say a Brewster, they made all these homemade masks. And So we tried to make sure that people had, gloves, they washed their hands. We put out videos about hand washing, all sorts of things really early on that I think was important public health information. We have a great person on our staff, Elaine Abrams. She used to run the Orleans Day program. She has public health, public nursing. She was a public health nurse for a while. So getting information from her, having her kind of distill information that was coming out of Boston was really helpful. So we're just trying to figure out how to do our part in this pandemic. And we know that our families need support. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I think one of the things as I'm listening to Molly that I've been thinking about is that, one of the ways that we've been able to get service to people is we understand that these diseases don't look the same in any two people who have them or any two families that are dealing with them. So in order to get the best service to people, our policy has always been to get to know them. And that requires a certain level of contact and intimacy. Right. So we were already predisposed when we had to move over into more phone support, for instance. We have these kinds of regular relationships with people already. So instead of it seeming like some big shift, it was just a different way of touching base with people over time. And we're seeing that certainly in our phone support. People are not strangers to hearing our voices, and we're able to continue even with the new people who are now seeking service, because we're not remember, just because COVID is new, Alzheimer's isn't. And so we're having a lot of new people all the time as well. And we're able to help them because we have a system set up in which we're able to help them no matter where they are. And that's really important in an Alzheimer's service because a lot of people can't leave the house. They can't leave the person behind. So we're used to doing this in a certain way. And I think that's the other thing is we have a really flexible database system. These things that we may not have thought about so much, how useful this was before, but now we can see because our clinical team is working from home, they have access to their database. So we can share information about people as we receive phone calls, et cetera. So there's a certain amount of this flexibility that's built into the way we do things because of the nature of Alzheimer's disease. Right. And that's a really important thing. So I want to shift gears because I know we're going to run out of time a little bit to a fundraising effort that we're doing right now. Please. And this is a really good example of this thing I'm talking about. So every year for the last several years, we've done a walk in Harwich the day before Mother's Day in Brooks Park. It's called the Dave Burtwell Memorial Walk for Alzheimer's. And obviously we weren't able to do that this year. And it's a big source of our fundraising every year. It represents about a quarter of our budget. Yeah. So the loss of it could represent a really big loss for us. So what we've decided to do is take that effort and move it to a virtual realm. And we're calling it the 5x5 virtual walk for Alzheimer's. And what 5x5 means is we're asking every person to sign up, donate $5, and then invite 5 more people to do the same. And we also want people to get out and take a walk because we know that's one avenue that's really still available to people, especially on the Cape. You can get out and walk and still be pretty socially distanced from people. So whether you're walking around your living room or your backyard or your neighborhood, we'd love to get footage of people taking these walks so that we can promote the same kind of terrible math that has cost us so dearly with this virus in the way that it multiplies 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. We're going to take that math, we're going to up the ante to 5, and we're going to make it work for us for the good of the community. So this is called the 5x5 virtual walk for Alzheimer's. We would love for this to go viral because what I'm so excited about this is the idea that we can re-empower ourselves given the terrible nature of this thing that's happening and turn it on its head and use it in some way that's actually going to help an enormous number of people. So, one of the advantages to being online doing this stuff is now we're getting calls from people, Western Mass. My mother is having a hard time. We're doing a card project where we're getting cards made by people all over the place that we can deliver to every skilled nursing and assisted memory care, assisted living on the Cape, not only for the people who live there, but for the staff as well. We've gotten hundreds of cards from people from all over the place. So that's wonderful. I want to make a pitch for our website, which is alzheimerscapecod.org. The hardest part about it is you have to spell Alzheimer's, which I will do for you right now. ALZHEIMERS HEIMERS, capecod.org, and you will find a link to 5x5. I would love for as many people as possible to join us and help us stay alive. That's the other part of it, is that we want to be able to outlive this virus because we know that our community really, really needs these services.
Yeah, so
I agree, and as both you and Molly mentioned, you know, it impacts much more than just the person that is suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's. And oftentimes they are already secluded from others because of their home situation. So in my opinion, the services you all offer are just wonderful and very necessary for Cape Cod. So thank you for what you guys do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So one of the things that we kind of stumbled upon, I mean, we did not, you know, we were not ever sending out emails daily. And what we started to realize is, okay, right now, adult day programs aren't functioning. People are home. They don't have the same support in their home that they used to have. So how can we, from this little place in Brewster, reach a majority of people? So we started sending out emails with information, and then we started getting these responses. And then we started making videos. Now, I know it's crazy. What does Alzheimer's have to do with whales, say, for example? And what Alzheimer's has to do with whales, because we created this whale video, is we wanted to start making some content for folks that may have some cognitive impairment, that in their home with their caregiving families, they were going to be able to connect to something that was uplifting, that was positive, that everybody could enjoy. And so the content of the emails started to appeal to an Alzheimer's or a cognitively impaired person and their family members. And so, you know, we started this thing, and there was a point where Melanie looked at me, and it was late because we have kids, so we were, you know, busy with our kids that are, you know, don't like the homeschooling thing, and we're like, well, should we do the email? And we looked at each other, we're like, of course we should, because you know, people are depending on us to do this thing, and we want to be able to fill the gap. And so, you know, the emails could be received by anyone. And then we were helping a family, and somebody got it on Channel 5 in Boston. And because we had the Nauset field hockey team make a video, because we started this Cards of Hope project. Well, the Cards of Hope are to help people that are impacted, that are living in long-term care facilities. And we decided we had a goal of getting a card that says, you can do this, hang in there, be strong, to every caregiver working inside a long-term care facility, as well as the people living there. And so this project, you know, got started, and we started getting cards from all across Massachusetts. And we now have delivered cards to, you know, many of these facilities on Cape Cod. And what we'd like to do is continue to do this throughout the pandemic, because people need to find a way to hear from their community in a safe way. So this was something that is coming from the emails, is coming from the connections, that is becoming bigger than us. And the virtual walk is a way to get the word out, you know?
Well, and I think piggybacking on what Molly is saying is that people also feel a tremendous need to be able to do something during a time when they feel so helpless. So one of the things that I've heard from people who have made cards for us is, it's such a relief to have something I can do to help someone. And I'm hoping that this walk, because it's such a low commitment, you know what I mean? It's a send out 5 emails, send us $5, take a walk. If you don't have $5, send us $1. If you don't have anything, don't worry about it, ask 5 more people. It's something that people can do that's concrete, that's tangible. The result is real. It goes directly back into your community and the people you know, in your own town, in your own neighborhood, in your own family. And so, you know, that's the other side of it, is that we all need to feel, I mean, I think part of the reason Molly and I feel like we want to do so much is because there is this need to feel like there's something you can do to fight back against this incredible thing that's happening, that's invisible, that we can't see, but we know is wreaking real havoc in people's lives. So I think it's a I think of these things really as a two-way street, because I hear so much from people who are maybe extended family members of somebody with Alzheimer's. I wish there was something I could do. I wish there was something I could do to help. And we know that there's always something people can do to help. All they have to do is ask us, because we'll tell them what to do, because we can be a little bossy sometimes. But no, in all seriousness, there's a lot of things that we can all do to help each other.
Yeah. And that's so very important right now. And I agree with you. I've heard from others too that are looking for a way to help, right? They don't want to sit down and feel that they're being passive, help each other get through this, that sense of community that both you and Molly have mentioned many times. We don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
We don't know what the new normal is going to look like. However, we'll get there together.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the bottom line, right? Is that we need each other. And sometimes when you get scared, it's easy to forget that. And we know that we're stronger if we reach out and we're available for each other. And that's something that we're going to continue to promote as long as we can. And the walk, I'm hopeful, will help us do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And please stay in touch.
Yeah, no, I thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, Kate.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.